Bears Nation that has descended here in Vegas, having a good old time as Geno Smith throws his third pick in 2+ quarters.
The Raiders crumbled at home against Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Fans are already burning out on the Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Las Vegas Seahawks experiment. Geno has been doing his best impression of Jameis Winston with gutsy throws, either ending in amazing big plays or interception after interception. Let's break down this epic Week 4 matchup and talk about the quarterback, Geno Smith. Can he still turn it around? We'll get into the 4 turnovers by the Raiders offense, that big disaster, in a second. But at a certain moment, it looked like the Raiders were gonna whoop the Bears' ass. You had Ben Johnson being questioned by the sideline reporter. He got extremely heated at this woman, as at halftime, she was asking him, what are you guys gonna do? Are you gonna change something up? And that pissed him off.
So you need to change what you're doing.
I don't know, you think so? We're gonna be just fine.
This dude was incredibly heated, and you could tell he was really heated where he did the lean in motion.
I don't know, you think so? We're gonna be just fine.
Getting in her grill a little bit. Hey everyone, I have teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook to bring you an amazing deal just in time for the football action. If you're new to DraftKings, listen up. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, plus $200 off YouTube's NFL Sunday ticket. That's right, place your $5 bet on any game and boom, $200 in bonus bets hits your account right away, and that discount on Sunday ticket means you can catch every out-of-market Sunday game without breaking the bank. To get started, sign up using my promo code Wi-Fi, or head to the link in the description or pinned comment below. It's quick and easy and perfect for kicking off this season with some extra edge on your picks. Remember, this is 21+ in most states and terms apply. Check out sportsbook.draftkings.com/promo for details, and that is my promo code Wi-Fi. Check the link in the pinned comment or description below. There were a lot more hilarious Ben Johnson moments, Ben Johnson faces in this game. I don't think he needs any smelling salts. This guy looks really amped up on the natural. And the Raiders defense played well, kept them in this game, and were frustrating Ben Johnson. You can see this guy just get absolutely pissed off at some of the throws and some of the snaps from the Bears offense. The Raiders offense is kind of lucky that this game was not even worse than it turned out. Look, you got Caleb Williams with a botched snap here. This is part of the reason why Ben Johnson's absolutely flipping out. And he had key moments like this in the red zone that ended in stalled drives for the Chicago Bears. Raiders defense held on. But I think a big issue that we're all curious about, because week 2, the Raiders had their home game against the Chargers. A lot of Raiders fans were there, but this time against the Bears, it seemed kind of like a Bears home game. Tons of fans. After the game, Caleb celebrates. It's like, is this guy in Chicago or is he in Las Vegas? Look at this, man. There's tons of fans. What the hell? Unfortunately, Bears fans like this were taking over Vegas in Allegiant Stadium this past Sunday. And I think you really noticed it in moments like this when Geno Smith threw an interception. Listen to the sound of the crowd. First of all, look at all that orange in the crowd right there. And listen to this sound. Video right here from Marnie Lingo 8. And you could just hear that pop of Bears fans. All right, throw, and then the pick right here. That's a Bears home game, man. Damn. And you know that things are going bad when Charles Woodson has to step in and say, damn it, Geno, during the game. The GOAT, one of the top Raiders in history, could not hold back on social media. And the reason why this is so frustrating is because there was so much hype around Geno Smith. The Raiders are finally getting a quarterback after the Gardner Minshew experiment, the Jimmy Garoppolo experiment. And Geno's a very confident guy going into the season in a flag football matchup that he was coaching in the offseason. He boasted about why he gets paid the big bucks.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. That's why I get paid the big bucks. That's why they bring the big bucks to me. That's why they pay me the big bucks, nigga. I knew it.
But hey, you'd rather have a confident QB than a timid QB. And week 1 in the NFL season, remember, Geno Smith tied the Raiders franchise record for 20-yard plus throws in a single game. He was aggressive, he was airing it out, and that is what fans liked about the Raiders. Now we're seeing the aggressiveness sort of bite him in the ass, just like week 2 against the Chargers, throwing into double coverage at times, leading to interceptions. Commanders game was a safe, clean game, but a ineffective game due to the poor run game and poor offensive line. And then now this week, interception after interception, we got to get into this pain. The Raiders forced a 3 and out to start the game, so it looked like they could really take advantage of something early on, but Geno Smith on 3rd and 10 did a horrible interception. You could see the safety Byard go down and intercept this pass intended for Jacoby Myers. Not only does this ball look a little off target, but at the same time, it's just a lot of traffic there. Are you really going to fit it in? And is it worth giving up that bad field position now that you threw an interception? And here's where I have an issue with the decision-making of head coach Pete Carroll. Yeah, you stalled out. You gave up 3 points. It's 3-0. You're in the first quarter, and you're at your own 35-yard line right here. 4th and 1, the Raiders tried to run it on 3rd and 1 with a QB sneak. It was a disaster with Geno Smith. The center, Jordan Meredith, got blown up. And now on 4th and 1, they're going to go for it rather than punting. This is really early in the football game. This is a little too aggressive for me, especially when you have an offense that hasn't had much success running the football. And there you have it. Genty gets absolutely blown up on 4th and 1, leading to a fumble. That was bad field position, but it was going to be bad field position regardless. Yeah, the Bears have it at the 20-yard line now that Genty fumbled, but if he wouldn't have fumbled, it would have been 35. It still would have been horrible field position for the Raiders defense. Somehow the Raiders defense were able to hold on throughout this game, but Geno Smith, especially in the first half, kept on having critical turnovers. Here's the second interception that he throws to Byard again, the same exact play to Jacoby Myers, that in route. He gets it to him, and then Byard, the safety, crashes down, gets that interception, and it's just too easy for Byard there, able to crash down and almost know exactly where Geno's going to go with the football. 2 interceptions on the same exact type of play. You can kind of rub that off and say, hey, this defense just maybe did some big time film study. They know where Geno's going to go with the football there. But then you had the 3rd interception when the Raiders got the football at the top of the 3rd quarter. They got a 5-point lead against the Bears. It looks like they could probably put this game away if you get a touchdown here on this critical drive. And what hurts so much that this 3rd pick happens on 1st down. 1st down when you could have thrown it incomplete and lived for another down, but Geno scrambles to his right here and just throws this ball short. He's rolling to his right. He's got a little bit of pressure in his face. He could maybe check it down to the backup tight end, Ian Thomas here, but instead he goes for Myers, and this ball just is a little too far inside instead of outside, allowing Stevenson to get an easy interception. The 3rd on the day and the 2nd game of the season already where Geno Smith has thrown 3 picks in a single game. We'll get into Geno Smith's explanation as to why this is happening in a little bit, but I will say you got to compliment the defense and Max Crosby, the way they played today. Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, like we showed you earlier, were frustrated. They were struggling. Max Crosby was breaking up plays in the backfield on read options, making Caleb Williams fumble and panic for his life. My favorite play of the day was the Max Crosby interception. Keep in mind, this guy is now doing flag football in Saudi Arabia with Tom Brady and a bunch of other NFL stars. I hope they're getting paid fat to go play in Saudi Arabia. But Max Crosby is more athletic than we think. He can catch, and you saw him catch his first interception of his entire career. Not only is this guy just wreaking havoc in the backfield, but now he's a freaking weapon and has some hands and has some hops. After the game, Caleb Williams went as far as to say that Max Crosby is the best player he's ever played against.
They got a hell of a player over there. He's probably the best player that I've ever played against so far in my career.
Big time praise there, and I bet you Bears fans are praying for a Crosby trade if things continue to go south in Vegas. Another reason why this L was so disappointing for the Raiders is because Ashton Genty finally arrived. He had one of the biggest touchdowns we've seen all year by a running back. Huge gain for 6 on the ground, all by himself. 1 play, 1 drive. That was great to see in the Raiders offensive line. Aside from that 4th and 1 that we showed you a little bit earlier, really got the run blocking game going finally. And Ashton Genty also started making plays in the receiving game. He got 2 receiving touchdowns in this game, all of the fantasy football managers of Genty who are pissed off that he was getting them absolutely no points throughout this entire season so far are freaking stoked now. And you saw the Raiders have some success in the second half once they started taking the game out of Geno Smith's hands because he was throwing so many picks and they stuck to that run game. What made this Genty arrival so sweet is Ryan Clark, the former player, NFL analyst, was criticizing Genty before the game, saying that he doesn't have that it factor. And Genty responded to this right before this matchup.
But did you see Ryan Clark's comments on ESPN at all?
Nah, I haven't seen anything. Don't really care what anybody has to say about me anyways, so it's cool.
And aside from the negative plays, man, Geno Smith still helped lead a drive, getting the Raiders close to field goal range at the very end, but it was unfortunately blocked. And I think part of the reason why this kick was blocked is due to just all the noise there from all the Bears fans. Pete Carroll looked absolutely devastated. He could not hide his emotions here. And I think on the flip side, there are some positives. Despite the fact that you had 4 turnovers in a game, you had the lead in the fourth quarter and could have possibly won this game. This is why I'm not going to be one of these guys who's super negative saying the season's completely over, because if the Raiders would have made that field goal kick, I know that everybody and all these Raiders fans who are really sad right now and all these Bears fans who are pumping up their chests acting like they're going to go to the Super Bowl, they would be all over the Raiders' nuts, Pete Carroll's nuts, saying they did a good job toughing it out, winning the game, despite the fact that they had those turnovers. But the big story, no matter what, even if the Raiders would have made the field goal and won the game, would be about Geno Smith. 3-year contract, $33 million-ish a year. And the Raiders spent a 3rd-round pick on him. The Seattle Seahawks fans don't seem to have buyer's remorse with Pete Carroll or Geno Smith, and there was a possibility, especially after week 1, when Geno looked impressive against the New England Patriots, that, hey, the Raiders would be on top and the Seahawks would be looking like they made a big mistake. But we had the New Jersey-style quarterback of Geno Smith today in this game. Now, Geno Smith recently, since he's been a Seattle Seahawk, he's only ever thrown 15 picks in one season. That's not super crazy, not great, but still, Geno Smith has not thrown this many picks at this rate. He's never thrown 7 or more picks, which he has right now, within the first 4 games of any NFL season. This is going back all the way to his disastrous rookie season with the Jets in 2013. So we're sort of seeing a sort of unprecedented play by Geno Smith. He hasn't had this many turnovers usually. Geno Smith was asked about his performance, what is going on, and he took full responsibility. And this guy seems really passionate and like he really cares about getting things right in Vegas.
I owe it to those guys. Like I told you, I owe it to them to play better. When I let them down like that, you know what I'm saying, I feel terrible. I feel terrible about it, so I got to get it right. Defense is only going to get better, and I'm for damn sure going to get better. You know what I'm saying? I ain't hanging my head about nothing. That's just not how I am. But I am frustrated. You know, I am upset the way that, you know, I turned the ball over and gave those guys chances. And like I said, that's on me. I'm not going to look anywhere else, you know, but at myself when it comes to that.
You can see that this is emotionally affecting the guy. I think the biggest thing that Geno Smith needs to do is stay confident. Yeah, it was a couple shitty turnovers that he had in this game, but if you wipe those away and if he plays a little bit more cleaner like he did against the Washington Commanders, then you're talking about the Raiders having a really hot offense. Ever since Tom Brady was shown in the broadcast booth, people have been criticizing the fact that he is a broadcaster, getting intel on teams and able to be a minority owner of the Raiders, and reports have come out that he's involved in meetings. He's up there in the booth during certain Raiders games, like against the Chargers, helping out the offense, giving his advice, maybe directing and calling some of the shots as to what the Raiders are going to do on the offensive side of the football. And because Tom Brady is a former quarterback, because you got reports saying that he is involved, he is making decisions and having weekly calls with the Raiders, I think you have to wonder, what is Brady's impact on the Raiders offense? We know Mark Davis is ranking Brady's decision higher than anybody else. He's going to be here no matter what coach is fired, no matter what QB is released or traded. Brady's a minority owner and always going to be here. So I wonder, and we don't know this for a fact, but how comfortable is Geno Smith in Chip Kelly's offense? How comfortable is Chip Kelly in running his offense with the Raiders this year when he has has to take calls and answer questions and listen to input from Tom Brady, a guy who's not there every single week inside the building. Now you got some Raiders fans upset, demanding that the former Pittsburgh Steeler Kenny Pickett go ahead and start over Geno Smith. Look, Pete Carroll is great friends with Geno Smith. He probably wanted the Raiders to trade for him to be the starting quarterback. I think it would take an absolute disaster for Pete Carroll to ever consider benching Geno Smith. This guy would have to be throwing 4 picks a game for multiple games. He's going to ride with Geno Smith all the way till the very end. And look, even if the Raiders did put in Kenny Pickett, is that really going to save the season? Like we said earlier, they got several problems going into this game aside from Geno Smith, and they solved a bunch of those. I think the Raiders could get back on track this week against the Indianapolis Colts, who are hungry after losing to the Los Angeles Rams. And I think the Raiders are better in the long run with Geno Smith at quarterback, because if he just plays a tad bit more conservative, then this could be a high-powered offense.